So, do you want to learn how to build this website using Next.js and React.js? If you want to learn how to do this, it's super simple. All you have to do is to keep watching. Okay? So this website actually will have around 19 routes and around 20 custom components. And this is just the home page that I'm showing to you. As you can see, we only have 4 routes here at the top, 4 pages, but each of these card, which is a component that accepts different prop values, is taking us to different pages. If you check the bottom left, you can see that this takes us to the train stations, and this one takes us to the chauffeur services, and so on. So if you want to learn how to do this, just keep watching. And for this project, really is important for you to know that you need to subscribe to the channel. Why is this? Because I will be creating this project with you from absolute zero, and I will be posting all the videos inside a specific playlist, so you can follow from start to finish, which means you should activate all the notifications so you are sure that you do not miss any video. Okay, that out of the way, I think we need to start. And the first thing that we need to do, obviously, is to create a new a new folder. Okay, I'm gonna call this one like LC tutorial. Cool. I'm gonna drag it inside Visual Studio Code as usual. I'm gonna copy this. As you know, you should be familiar with this by now. So inside this folder, I'm gonna open my terminal and paste this command line dot. Okay, this is all you have to do in order to create a project inside this current directory. Okay. Yes, to proceed. No TypeScript will be used as linked. Let's say yes. Tailwind, we will use Tailwind for the front end, so yes. Source, no. App router, of course, yes. Would you like to customize the default import alias? No. Right, so the installation is finished. I clear the console. We can see our package.json now, and this is actually a good time for us to go ahead and install a few more packages that I know that we will be needing during the tutorial. I'm going to install a few. In case I forget to install any package, it's not going to be a problem because we can always come back and install it later. So for that, I'm just going to copy paste something that I prepared in advance. So this is what we are trying to install. Basically, we have all of these packages that we want to install right away. The first one will allow us to send the collected data inside our form and send it to an email using email.js for that. Cookies next is actually is going to help us to set up our cookies banner when the user visits the website for the first time, and the user cannot actually navigate or do anything inside the website until the user accepts this. Okay, then we have this package that will allow us to add some reCAPTCHA functionality in our contact forms. The usual React icons, because we'll be using React icons throughout the project, and also the scroll to top button will be assisted with this package. So this is all we need. So I'm going to press enter, and this shouldn't take that much. Okay, took just a few seconds. Great. So now we really have everything that we need to start building our project. The next thing that we need to think about is the routes. And as I said, there's going to be plenty of routes, and I counted roughly 19 custom routes. So basically one of these cards will actually take us to a specific route, and there's plenty of cards both on the home page and the explore page. So I think we should start by creating our custom routes, just a boilerplate, and test a few to make sure they are working. So let's do that next. Right, so just before we move and create our custom routes, let's do the usual cleanup when it comes to files. So we go to the app directory and we go to globals, and we are going to be cleaning everything inside globals, excluding these Tailwind rules, okay? Do not delete that, just leave that there. And then we can navigate to our root page, which is this page.js, and we can actually delete everything inside the return, because we don't need it, and replace that with an h1, can be that, and just type home. We can also delete this import because we don't need it, okay? And now we can actually go ahead and start our development server, npm run dev. I was forgetting the command, but you can actually check that in our package.json, and it's npm run a given script, in this case dev, and press enter. So this is going to open localhost for me on port 3001. Okay, cool. It has opened in port 3001. This is where we'll be developing our website, and the final project is in localhost 3000. So we'll be referring to this port, but we'll be working on this one. Okay. So now really is the moment to start thinking about creating our custom routes. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, time to create some routes. As I told you, we will have around 19 routes. So I'm not going to show you all, of course. I will just be creating a couple of routes and I will be testing them. After that, I will stop the video, create the other routes, and we'll go from there. So let's start there. So how to create a custom route? You should know this by now, but if you don't, you just have to follow this. So inside app, you create a new folder with a route name. In this case, I want airport transfers. There's a typo already. Okay, inside this folder, I now need to create a file, and the convention for any page is page.jsx. Boom. So this is what we need to create our custom route. Because it's a page and later you might need some metadata, I'm actually going to copy, paste something from here. This part where you can write the custom data, the custom metadata for the page. Okay. This title is what you will see here, like this one. Is what you see. So each page can have a different title on the browser's tab. And the description, I'm going to leave it empty. You can do that if you want. I will not be covering much about this metadata stuff, so you need to Google that on your own. I'm just leaving it here so we know that we can use in case you need. So now I'm going to create one more route. Again, the same process. I'm going to go inside app, create a new folder. This one it's going to be called Algarve Shopping Malls. Inside it, page.jsx. And to be faster, I'm just going to copy paste the other page and edit. Now we should have two different routes working. So we are going to test that right away. Okay. First one, airport transfers. Let's see if it works. And it does. And as you can see now, we got the title here, like expected. The title coming from this part, but we are on a different page, of course. But airport transfers, airport transfers, airport transfers. So it's all good. So I'm going to test the other one, and we should be good to go. So the other one is going to be Algarve. Shopping malls. Also working. Great. So this means that we successfully created the two routes as we wanted. It's all working, so I'm gonna stop this video and continue with all of these routes, the remaining 17, and I'll come back to it. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and added a few more routes. There's plenty of them. There are 19 in total. So we created this one and this one together and we tested. So I believe all the others are working, and if they are not for any reason, we will fix any potential problem when we face it, in case we face it. But I think it's all fine. So now we have our basic structure. So we need to do two more things before we really start building the pages and everything. I now want to create our components folder that we do not have yet, and also create the 20 custom components that I know that I will need. But before that, I'm just gonna go ahead and actually update my globals.css file to use a tiny bit of custom CSS. And I want to do only two things. Notice here in the final version, I can scroll and I do not have the vertical bar that is added by definition by the browser. So I removed that with CSS, but I can still scroll. And another thing that I cannot do, if you notice, I can go here, I can select this, I can do Control C, and then I can do paste, of course. But as an example, I cannot select anything on this website, so I cannot copy paste anything on this website. This is not the best usage. I mean, it's not a problem, but you normally want to protect the content of your website, the text, and all of that in a different type of website, maybe a blog or a scientific note, a scientific opinion, whatever, something that you want to protect. In this case, it's just stuff that it's simple and not that important. But my point is, with a tiny bit of custom CSS, we can achieve these two things. Remove the vertical scroll bar and protect the website so people cannot actually copy and paste anything. So that's what we are going to be doing now. For that, all I'm going to do is to copy paste a bit of code. And this code is easily found on the internet. I'm not going to go over it or anything. So this first bit will be responsible for removing the vertical bar. I'm also remembering that I also want to add Google Fonts, but I'm going to leave it for the moment, so we will have to come back to this file. But for the moment, let's continue and now add, in this case, let's disable the ability to copy paste stuff. This code will disable, so it will not allow the user to select any content. As you can see, I cannot select. In here, I can select and do the usual copy paste. So this is what this CSS doing. And this is it. Of course, we'll come back to this to deal with the custom Google font, but for now this is good. Okay, we are preparing everything so then the building of the website is way faster. So this is the way I like to approach these projects. I like to do the routing, the components, the custom CSS and all of that. Then I will be copying, pasting everything, not copy pasting, but building everything bit by bit. Okay. Okay, so now what do we need to do? We need to create our components folder and we need to have our components in there. And you have the two main typical components. You have your header, where your navbar is included inside, and you have your footer. Okay, these are the two main components, but of course you have plenty more. So once again, I'm gonna show you how to create a couple of components, and then I will stop the video and come back to it when all the other components are created. I'm not gonna create the full components, of course. I'm just gonna create the basic structure so we avoid errors and the app still runs without a problem, without crashing. So let's start there. And for that, what do we need to do? Of course, we need to go again inside app directory, create a new folder called components. There you go. And inside these components folder, we are going to create our custom components. And I'm gonna start by creating the first one called airports. Airports.jsx. Okay. So we are going to have plenty of stuff in here. So all I want to do is to start with the basic stuff. Okay. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna use this shortcut. Okay. So this is the first component. Okay. And I'm gonna create one more component. So I'm gonna go inside components folder, call it, this one is called back to. Do not focus on the component names at this point because they are not so important. Okay, cool. So I have two components. Okay, so let's create the navbar and the footer, because those will be then included inside our layout and I can still show you more. We'll be able to see them. So let's create navbar and footer. So we can go and create another component here called footer.jsx. The usual thing. This one I'm gonna take the chance right away and change from div to footer HTML5 semantic tag, which is a better tag to use in this component. And the other one I said is the navbar. Some people like to call it navbar, some people like to call it header. I most of the times like to call it navbar, but the reality is this, in this case, this blue rectangle is the header and the navbar is inside the header. So in fact, to be precise, we are creating a header that contains a navbar and not really much a navbar only. Okay, so this component should be named header, but I'm gonna still call it navbar because I think people are used to see that a lot more, so they don't get confused. But you can go in and call it navbar or header, it's up to you. But header is actually better, but I'm gonna, in this case, still call it navbar. Navbar, okay? And the usual shortcut. Okay, now that I have these 4 custom components, as you can see, we are going to use 2 of them inside layout.js. And why is this? Well, we, by definition, most of the projects, and this one also in all the pages, regardless on the page that we are on, we want to see the navbar and the footer. So for that, the easiest way is to import inside the layout file that came with the Next.js installation. Import those two components. So import navbar from the components. There you go. Import footer from the components. There you go. And then we do not need this class name in the body. Now we can call them here. So I'm going to say navbar, boom. And I'm going to copy paste this. Of course, it's not a navbar now, it's the footer. Okay, this should be it. And this means now, if I refresh the page, I should see navbar, Algarve shopping malls, and then footer. Let's see if it works. It is working, of course, as expected. So I'm in this route and I see the navbar and the footer as expected. And if I go to the route, to the root, to the home page, I should see the same thing, a similar thing. There you go. This means our components are actually working. So this is what we need to do to prepare our project before really building everything. So once again, I'm going to stop the video right here. I'm going to add all the other components, just the basic structure like we are doing here. And I will come back to this video when I'm done with it. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, as you can see now we have plenty more components. And I think it's around 20 components, okay? And as we can check, all I did was to create the basic boilerplate. I didn't really created anything inside the component. I just added the basic boilerplate using the shortcut. But this helps us to stay organized and know what we need to do next. So I like to think and prepare those things in advance. Another thing that I want to do is things that relate to CSS. I actually want to go back to our globals.css file, and in here, as I mentioned it before, I want to add like a custom Google font. On top of that, I also want to extend the theme colors. I want to create my own custom colors using the project colors, this bluish color, this goldish color, this gray color, this white color. I want to create that inside the Tailwind config file and use it as any other Tailwind CSS color. So that's what we are going to be doing now. So let's start by adding, and this is just a bit of copy paste. I'm just going to be adding, I'm going to be importing my custom font that will be Poppins. So I'm going to import it right at the top, even before the Tailwind applies. Okay, so actually on the first line, I'm actually gonna open this so you see it a bit better. So I imported this Google font. All you have to do is to get your Google font from Google Fonts. I'm not going to explain you that in detail. So once you get it, you get this URL. It's one of the options. And you paste it on the first line of your document, globals.css file. But this is step 1 of 2. You need to go to the other file, the Tailwind config file, and we can do that right away because we'll need to do something else, the colors, to extend the colors, as I said. So, and now for this font to work, because we are saying that we are importing it, but we are not really using or anything, we also need to put it in our config file, this one right here, tailwind.config.js. This file came with the Next.js installation when we created the app initially. So all I'm going to do is inside the extend object, as you can see, this is there. I'm not gonna bother with this. I guess we could delete it, but I'm gonna leave it there. I don't really care. But I'm just gonna copy paste another object, okay, and put it inside this extend. And this defines my font family as Poppins. And as you can see, this is the Google font setup, step 2 of 2, because importing it's step 1 of 2. So when you deal with a configuration file, it's always a good idea to drop your server, okay, and then restart your server, npm run dev, so changes take effect, okay. This should be good. And I forgot, sorry. We also need to extend our colors, as I said. So I have prepared in advance a colors object with my custom colors. So I'm gonna copy paste those colors in here, okay. Actually do not need this. I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't think I will need any of this. So okay, now really is completed. So I need to restart the server one more time. npm run dev. And now we should have access to our font and to our custom colors. And now we just use the color by its name. Instead of like text red 500, we say text custom underscore gold, and we get the color that is in here, whatever color it is, okay. So let's just test that really quickly. So we can go to, I don't know, to the root, give it a class name here on the home, class name, and we can say text custom underscore gold, text 5xl, and text center, just to test it, okay. And we are going to go here and refresh. And as you can see, it has worked. So we know for sure that we are now using this color, which is great, okay. So the color that we, let me show you one more time, that we define it here, it's this one. So if I change this to red, see, it has changed. I'm gonna put this back. So whatever value you put in here gets reflected, and you call the color by just using whatever you wrote here, okay? Cool. So, and what about the font? Let's inspect this. And we are not using the font yet. As you can see, the font is UI, sans serif, blah, blah, blah. And we do not want that. We want to use Poppins. So this is not working yet. So what am I forgetting? Right. So we are trying to add our custom Google font. And earlier I mentioned it to you that there's two steps, like first one, importing the font inside globals.css, and then the second step was to add it inside the Tailwind config file to extend it. But actually this is not step 2 of 2, it's actually step 2 of 3, because the last step 3 of 3, is for us to use it inside our globals.css. So we import it, it's step number 1. Step number 2 is to add it inside the extend object, and step number 3 actually is to use it. So I'm gonna copy paste it so I don't make a mistake. Because we already have the body in here, we can actually put all of this together. I wanted to separate this, which is not a good convention, but I wanted to do this so you could see that this is to hide the vertical scroll bar. This is for us to disable the user to select any text from our page. But what I'm going to do is a bit of refactoring. I'm going to actually put all of this together because this is a better way. We should not repeat our tag. And I'm just going to refactor this a bit like this. Okay, this is another thing. And now we can go here and add our custom font. Okay, so this bit, and this is for us to hide the scroll bar, and then this is for us to disable people from copying the text. So we do not allow people copying our text, so they cannot perform Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V on any page of our website. And this is step number 3 of using a custom font from Google. And now we can actually check that, because if we refresh the page and if we inspect, we now see that we are using the font 48 pixels Poppins, the same here, 16 Poppins, sans serif, and we are using the same font everywhere. And my point is, when it comes to fonts, there's not like one single rule, but there's like a convention. And the convention is you want to use normally Google Fonts or any other custom font to build your website like this, like I'm doing here. And actually I updated this file because the font was not getting applied, because I forgot to add this in the original project, and I did it now so you can see. But my point is, I am using the exact same font throughout the project, and you can do that as well. Okay, but many people like to have like 2 fonts up to 3 fonts, but no more than that. So I think the average is using 2 fonts, maybe 3 fonts. Okay, because you want to give some visual hierarchy and you want some things to stand out a bit more and all of that, but you do not want to overuse fonts like 5 fonts or whatever, 6 fonts or 10 fonts. No, that's not what you want to do 99% of the cases. What you want to do is to have like 1 font, maybe 2 fonts, up to 3 fonts. Okay, that out of the way, we now have our custom font up and running, which is great. So we can continue working on our project. Right, let's continue this basic project setup. Okay, so if we look at our final version, you notice that not only we provide the page title on the browsers tab, and we saw how to do that earlier in this video, we also are providing a different fav icon in here. See, this is a custom favicon or fav icon, I don't know how to say it. So how do we do this? As you can see, we get like this fav icon by default, but we can change this. So this can be found inside app. As you can see, I go inside app and I get this fav icon in here, and this gets placed in all of the pages. But I want to change that to my custom favicon. I'm not going to show you how to create a custom fav icon, but I'm going to show you how to update this. And this is quite simple, because all we have to do is to replace this file by another file. So I have this fav icon ready, and all I'm going to do is to copy and drag this inside app. Of course, it's going to tell me that this fav icon already exists and asks if I want to replace it. In this case, I do want to replace, so I'm going to say yes. Okay. Now, as you can see, I have a different favicon. Okay, and now if I refresh the page, it can take a while. Okay, it was quite fast. As you can see, now we have the custom favicon here, and regardless of the page, so if I go to airport transfers, this is the first route we created, I should see the fav icon there also. There you go. So I'm in a different route and I have the fav icon there. So this is how you update the fav icon in your project. Cool. Let's continue. Okay, let's continue, and now let's talk about the 404 error page, the not found page. So you should know that if you, for some reason, you type a route that doesn't exist, by default, Next.js will show you a 404 page. So let's test that. Let's add just some stuff in here, press enter, and there you go. Because this route doesn't exist in our custom routes, we get this 404 error page. Okay, but I wanted to create a custom 404 error page, and I did, and it works, but there's one small detail that I do not understand why it's behaving like that, and I have not found a fix to it up to the time of the recording. So I'm gonna show you it. So if I go to this page, in this case it's going to be the fleet page, okay, whatever. But imagine that I typed this route and I made a typo and added this. Now, if I do this instead of the basic Next.js 404 page, I do get my custom 404 page, just as I wanted. But there's a tiny problem to it. Probably you noticed that the page keeps reloading every few seconds, maybe 5 seconds or so, automatically. So I am not doing this on purpose, and I don't know why this is behaving like that. And you don't really see it as a problem if you do not scroll down, because look, the page is loading, but we are here at the top of the page isn't moving, you don't really see it. But the problem is if you scroll to whatever point, and when the page reloads, of course you go to the top because the page gets reloaded. This is not really a big problem, but this is a thing that at the time of the recording I do not know how to fix. But still, I'm gonna create the basic boilerplate for this custom 404 page not found. Okay? If you know how to fix this reloading, just let me know in the comments below, and we can go over it and discuss it, and we can use that in the project. So yeah, this is one more thing that we are doing before building the project ready. So before building all of this. Okay, so let's continue. So let's create our not found page, our custom not found page. For that, I'm gonna go inside app, create a new file called not found.js. Yep, and okay, and I need to return something, of course. Okay, not found. Okay, let's just test this. So if I go to a route that doesn't exist, then press enter, and I should see this page, and I'm seeing it, not found. Cool, so this is working, this is the boilerplate. I think I'm not forgetting anything before we are really start building our project. What we have been doing so far is to prepare things in advance, to organize things. We created routes, we created components, we changed our CSS file, we changed our Tailwind config file. All we did was to create like our ground base to start building the pages, the components, and all of that. I think I'm not forgetting anything. In case I forgot something, of course, we'll go back to it and we'll fix it as we go. So this means that part one of this project is done, and in the next part we will really start building things up. We'll start by creating the basic navbar footer, and we'll go, and the first page that we'll be building is going to be this page right here, the home page. And as you can see, there's plenty of work to be done. So keep watching, and if you enjoy it so far, you know that you should subscribe to the channel, because I will be releasing these videos over time, and you do not want to miss any of these videos, so you can follow along and end up with a project like this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.